For the last couple of months, I have been living on this tiny island called Gozo, which is a part of country called Malta, which is a small island by itself. I moved here because I wanted to run away from cold in winter, which is pretty mild here. Also, almost everyone speaks English in Malta, so it's easy to communicate with local people. When I have traveled to a relatively small island for the first time a couple of years ago, I had fallen in love with an idea of living on one. Since then, I've visited several islands in Europe before actually moving to one, so I think I have a general idea about that concept. In this video, I'd like to share my thoughts on living on a tiny island because while it has a lot of advantages, it also has some drawbacks. How small is the island I live on? I'm gonna try to give you the idea of its size as well as I can.
The longest straight line that you can draw from one side to the other has around 14.5 kilometers. Here's how big it is compared to Sicily, England, or maybe London, Iceland, Japan, New York, Australia, or Sri Lanka. As you can see, it is very tiny, but I can actually show you its size in reality. I'm gonna get on the walls of the citadel, which is approximately in the middle of the island.
Right now I'm in front of the citadel, which should be a good place for what I want to show you. Let's go up there. What you can see behind me is the southern coastline of the island. It's less than 3 kilometers from here. If I walk up to the other side of the citadel and look in that direction, you can see the northern coastline, which is just a little bit farther away. So from this point, you can almost see the whole island, or at least you would if it wasn't so mountainous.
Which brings me to my next point. An island like this one is the top of a giant rock that's peeking through the surface of the water. It means that these kinds of islands usually have a lot of hills and mountains. There was no glacier to flood it out, so there's a lot of places that you can climb and admire the beauty of the island. For me, the juxtaposition of mountains and sea is one of the most marvelous views you can witness. Oh, and to let you get a grasp on the size once again, this is Comino, the smallest island of the three, and there behind it is Malta. A lot of hills and mountains make it possible to have views like that, but depending on your lifestyle, it may also be a pain in the ass. If you don't have a car or a motorbike, then walking or riding a bike uphill can be quite a workout. I like that aspect because I have lived on a totally flat terrain for most of my life, but I can imagine some people having problem with it. If you do have a car, then you need to be aware of yet another implication of this kind of terrain. A lot of hills means scarcity in flat areas where you can build on. So most of the cities are very tight with buildings crammed close to each other. That doesn't leave a lot of space for roads, which are usually very narrow. The first couple of days of my driving here, I had to be extremely careful when passing by buildings and other cars. This, coupled with the left-hand traffic, made me feel like I have to relearn driving from scratch.
Oh shit.
These islands are usually very diverse when it comes to nature. When I was living in Poland, I always had to choose between going to the mountains and the sea, because they are 500 kilometers apart from each other.
Islands usually have sea and mountains very close to each other, which gives you some unique possibilities, like, for example, cliff jumping.
Some islands are even more diverse. For example, Gran Canaria has sand dunes that look like a huge desert on south and a jungle-like forests on north. It's like a whole continent concentrated on a small area.
One more nature aspect of living on an island is wind. It blows hard and it blows frequently, especially during winter months. If you fly kites, kitesurf, or do anything else that requires wind, then it may be a good thing for you. Personally, I'm a little bit annoyed with it, especially when I want to make videos and talking to a microphone sounds like that.
Now I'd like to talk about social aspects a little bit. This will obviously be a highly subjective opinion, but this is all I have. I feel like people in places like this island are much more chilled. They are aware of living in an incredible place where most people go to vacation. It seems like people are not rushing so much, there's no rat racing, there's no careers to be had. Just enjoying life and living in the moment. Also, I have met a lot of people who came to live here from all around the world, so the community is very diverse. This, coupled with the local people being very open and nice to outsiders, makes you feel welcomed.
As far as I know, finding a job here is not very difficult, but it's not highly paid either. A lot of jobs here revolves around tourism, so it's very seasonal. However, most of my friends are self-employed, so I don't have a lot of expertise in that topic. Another issue I have with small islands is the availability of products. There are no big factories here or magazines, so everything has to be imported. That makes it more expensive and takes more time. Sometimes there are difficulties to ship here at all, so you have to keep that in mind if you're an avid online shopper. Talking about prices is pretty difficult because they vary a lot from place to place. As far as I know, the rents are not much higher than anywhere else. Depending on the location, you can find a 2-3 bedroom apartment for 400-500 euros a month. So it's less expensive than in regular big cities. Depending on what aspects of life you pay more attention to, you can love or hate the idea of living here. I know for me, the pros definitely outshine the cons, so it's well worth it. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one.